So, along with selling real estate and helping agents, I think it's just really important for agents to understand that right now, skills pay the bills. And you have to work on your skills consistently and all the time. Because, I don't think we're in a market where now we're getting like 30, 50 offers. Now you might have to have some skills, especially if you're meeting with sellers, and turn away some clients. I have done that many times where I have sellers that are unrealistic. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that it's okay to turn away business if you know that you can't help them. I've always loved to focus on listings, and I say, I would hate to put a sign in the yard just to put a sign when I know a property is not going to sell.
Welcome to Coaches and Mentors. I'm Ren Jones, CEO at Vulcan7, and we have an exciting guest today. Coaches and Mentors is here to bring you the most influential people in our industry. So first from California and then relocated to Miami, welcome Loida Velasquez.
What is going on? Thank you, Ren, for having me and for that intro.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun because Loida often hosts this show, and we flipped it here. So I'm interviewing her as she not only is in production, I think you're still in production. Well, we will learn. And she is also coaching and mentoring, if you will, helping a lot of people in the industry to find their way. So we'll have a fun discussion about that and any upcoming things that she may have and learn a few things. So let's dive in. Are you still in production?
Currently, the production that I am doing is mostly referral based.
Okay.
I started my business back in 2015. A lot of cold calling, door knocking, expires for sale by owners using Vulcan7. And it got to the point that I built my database. I build my clients. So now with my past clients and agents, people are coming to me instead of me hounding the phones all the time. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And then they say, I want to buy a $4.7 million something or another.
Yep.
Fun things like that. And those are fun to show, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you don't get much for 4.7 million in Miami. I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely don't get a lot in California. The prices out there are pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy too. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And you have been involved for a while now. I don't know how long you've been involved for a while with some coaching projects and working with people to help them get stronger in the business. Tell me a little bit about that. Give me a thumbnail on that.
Yes, absolutely. So back in 2020, I started my new agent boot camp. I would always get a lot of questions from agents that watch me on YouTube, just kind of asking, what it takes to succeed. I just got my license. How can I get my first listing? Scripts, objection handling, all of that. So in 2020, during the pandemic is when I launched my new agent boot camp. I've been able to help over 400 agents across the country just gain more confidence as agents and being able to go after listings and secure contracts. So that's what I've been focusing on since then. And I love to teach. I've been creating content all of these years, and it's just awesome to hear all the stories, the success stories of agents implementing what they've learned from me.
That is great. So you've got a lot of testimonials and people are like, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love that. Virtual, in person, have you done both? What are you doing typically?
Yeah.
That
For
boot
the
camp.
most part, I have done them virtually. So pretty much all of them have been virtually. And then earlier this year, I did do one in person.
Okay, great. And do you have anything coming up now?
I do. So anyone that has been watching me, you know that I love to post my cold calling videos. And it's unfortunate. I always hear, especially now, that cold calling is dead or it's antiquated and agents shouldn't really do it. But I have had a lot of success doing it. And I love to tell agents about that. So I'm going to be doing a Calling with Confidence challenge. So pretty much what that is I'm inviting agents that want to get better with their calling skills, objection handling, communication to come together. We're all going to be making calls during a week, September 11th through the 15th. And this is just a way for for them to also see me in action, because I think it's really important. If you see me, you can go back to my very first videos on YouTube when I was really bad and I didn't know what to say. My for sale by owner videos, horrible. But now you can see my recent ones and you're like, oh, that's great. And Loida, I can see the entire transformation. So that's what I have coming up soon.
And so all they have to do is mirror and match that and learn, and then just pattern after the ones that, why reinvent the wheel? Just
exactly
do it in the same manner and get a similar result.
Yes. And the whole thing is consistency. I feel that a lot of agents give up pretty easily, especially when they're making calls. And it takes some time and it takes a lot of dedication. I like to tell everyone, you can't take things personal, because I will always get people that are upset, or maybe they tell me things that, might hurt my feelings if I didn't have like a strong mentality. But at the end of the day, I know that there's a family. I know that there's a homeowner that needs my help, and that's what makes me continue pushing and making my calls.
Right. Good. It's kind of an interesting thing when you think about it. And people say, it's not easy, the mental side of this, to reach out and make these contacts with people. The mental side of it would be easier in a lot of ways to flip French fries, than it is mentally to talk to 20 people on a Thursday. That's a lot harder, especially in this sort of a situation. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. So the good news is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And it's easy in some ways, because you can do it from home. You can do it from anywhere. It doesn't cost you anything. You can do that. In fact, you don't have to drive to McDonald's to work. You can do it from home. And one pays a little bit better than the other, which is interesting. One sale, what's one sale in Miami in a commission check typically?
Probably like 15,000 or more than that.
Okay. And maybe, at worst, it's half that in some states. I mean, one of the things we've seen, which even though could be a difficult year as far as the number of transactions, this will be the third best year on record based on commissions earned, just because the size of the commission checks have gotten so high up there, which is fascinating. But I mean, one of the highest paying jobs, if you're willing to work through the mental side of this. So how do you work with them on the mental side, or you just show them the fundamentals and hope that part takes off because they're getting wealthy?
Yeah, no, I do both. I think affirmations is really important. So what I like to do, and what I tell them, even before you start making your calls, write down things like, I am the best agent in whatever city you're in, or everyone that answers the phone is excited and happy to talk to me. Because even though I might get a whole bunch of people that are upset, I'm already putting it out there that everyone loves to talk to me. And that's kind of how I start to flip the switch in my mind. And at the end of the day, I tell myself, look, there's a family that needs my help. And if I'm not making that call, there's going to be another agent that's probably worse than me that is going to set that appointment and get that listing and get that paycheck. So why not it be me?
Right, exactly. And you're probably going to do a great job for them and serve them well. And sometimes we have to look at it that way. Like, the worst thing that can happen is they get some of these other agents out there handling the property. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the great thing also is that a lot of agents can go back and see, some of my very first videos where I'm a new agent, I'm getting used to calling, and you can see that, I was never a pro at this. I started just like everyone from the bottom, but over time, making thousands of phone calls, every single phone call, I kept on getting better. And that's what I want agents to understand. You're not going to be perfect the first call. You're not going to have all of the objection handlers, but the more consistent that you are, you're going to know exactly how to answer the next call. And depending on what they tell you over time, it's going to get to the point that for me, I was excited to make calls to for sale by owners and expireds, because I had 3 or 4 or 5 different objection handlers for anything that they would tell me. And I knew if they were motivated and serious, that I would probably set an appointment.
Yeah, this is a hard one for them to understand, and you've experienced it. I've experienced it. Once you've done this a lot, you can get on the phone and there's nobody that's going to affect you because you can almost feel it coming and you know what to say and how to work with that person to where the call outcome is good, where they're delighted that you called, because as opposed to trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what you're teaching them is going to save them a lot of pain in that area.
Exactly. Yes. And at the end of the day, as an agent, I like to say we have to be problem solvers. For some of these expires or for sale by owners, there's a reason why they need to sell or they want to sell. And it's our job to understand what their motivation is and how we can come in and facilitate that process. So it's not so much us selling ourselves like, oh, you need to hire me because I'm the best over this person. It's more like, you know what, Ren, what's so important to you about making this move? What happens if it doesn't happen? Little things like that.
Right. Actually, figuring out what their pain points are so we know how to serve them. So we can come in contribution. We can be there, come in contribution and serve them and get what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah, I think a lot of agents are remiss in that. They're busy pitching themselves and not asking enough questions to get the background information. Where are you moving to? How soon do you need to be there? What's important about moving to Iowa? So they can explain what they're trying to accomplish and give you the full background so you can help them in that process.
Yeah.
So much.
Sometimes these conversations can be 15, 20 minutes long, So for any agent that's watching this, it's not going to be like a 5-minute conversation. You're going to set an appointment. It might happen, but for some homeowners that you're talking, they're going to tell you their whole life story if you ask the right questions. And at that point, they will tell you enough for you to figure out if this is a serious lead that you want to go after and set an appointment with, that you can actually help, or maybe you can't help them and you just let them know the truth.
So this is sort of a recipe that you're offering. You're giving them guidance. You're giving them what works and what doesn't work. And then as an ongoing, can they get involved with you and be involved with you 7 years later?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, there's always something going on that I'm going to be working on.
Okay, good. All right. And how do they reach out if they want to get involved? Is there a website that they should go to check it out and see what the offerings are, get involved in the next boot camp, get involved before the next boot camp in one way or another?
Of course. So you guys can visit my website, loidavelasquez.com. The challenge that I have coming up soon is callingwithconfidence.com. All of the details are there. I love prospecting. I love making calls. It still works. I see ads all the time that it doesn't, but if you watch me, it definitely does work and you're going to make a lot of money. And Instagram is just Loida Vela.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like what does, they're like, oh, cold calling doesn't work. Now, these are not cold calls. These are warm calls in one way or another. Often they have a home for sale and no agent, or they're in it's a well thought out process. You're just not calling people randomly.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. So there's a science behind this whole process. And how many people have we seen that they go from whatever they're making now, $90,000 a year, to quickly making $300,000 and $500,000 and $700,000, and it's very common. Not everybody. For some people, it's just not in the DNA.
Yeah.
But for those that believe and are willing to have the patience and work the process. Is there some sort of a community as well? Is there a Facebook group you have or things like that get a little collective going?
Yes. So in my website, loidavelasquez.com, you'll be able to see links to the different Facebook groups that I have that are free for agents, where I also do additional trainings. And of course, on YouTube, I'm always posting content. So any training content, you guys can go there. I have over 300 videos that I have done over the past almost 8 years.
So they can just start watching those.
Yes. If you have a question, I probably have a video on it.
Good. So what else should we be talking about related to your business that you're offering?
Yeah. So, along with selling real estate and helping agents, I think it's just really important for agents to understand that right now, skills pay the bills. And you have to work on your skills consistently and all the time. Because, I don't think we're in a market where now we're getting like 30, 50 offers like we were 2021. Now you might have to have some skill, especially if you're meeting with sellers, and turn away some clients. I have done that many times where I have sellers that are unrealistic. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that it's okay to turn away business if you know that you can't help them. I've always loved to focus on listings. And I say, I would hate to put a sign in the yard just to put a sign when I know a property is not going to sell, because then I'm going to be known as the agent that couldn't sell that house.
So a pre-qualifying process.
Yes, exactly. Pre-qualifying process, asking questions and listening.
Okay. Yeah. And that last one. Listening. That's it. That's it. What we see people, this is what I see happen a lot. They get involved. They get excited. They list 4 or 5 homes. They really get excited. The 4 or 5 homes in this market sell. And then they have 3 of them that they have to immediately find a home for. They stop their morning routine getting listings. They spend the next month and a half to 2 months taking these people around looking at properties. And then those people decide to sit on the fence and wait till a good one comes up. And they get away from doing what got them successful. How do we get them? Because you talk about sellers, and sellers. How do we get them to stay focused on the sellers?
It's really important to have a disciplined schedule, first of all, and understand that there's no emergencies, and also know that if you tell yourself and your schedule is, prospecting or making calls from 8 to 12, even if a buyer tells you, I want to see a home at 9 o'clock, you have to have your standards for the way that you run your business to know that, showings are going to be in the afternoon, or maybe have a buyer's agent or a showing agent that can help you. So that's a great way to start building a team, because if you're going after listings, naturally, you're probably going to get buyers as well. But you always want to focus on being able to control what you can. And for me, that's why I focus on listings, because sometimes buyers, I would take them out. Turns out our offers don't get accepted and I have to go back to showing homes again, versus listings. I meet with the seller. We put a lockbox if you need to, or if not, once I get that contract or the contract signed for a listing, I move on to prospecting, possibly finding a buyer and getting that next listing.
I agree with you, and I agree with you entirely. Because if they go, well, I want to go look at property at 9 a.m. Like, no.
Yeah.
And if they're homeless, I get it. So getting a buyer's agent or referring them, and people are like, well, I'm not going to split it if I sold their $800,000 house, like they're going to buy a $4 million house. I'm going to work that one. Yes and no. What if you have somebody that you share in it, but on a large trade up like that, they make 25%, you get 75%. So you get 90,000, they get 30,000. They should be very happy to show the 4 houses that exist in that $4 million range. So this can be done. If I remember someone, she had 5 kids, single mom. All she could do was list property. She could not take buyers out. It just wasn't in the cards with five kids, single mom. So because of that, and making arrangements for all of her buyer business to be handled by a couple of very stellar agents, and setting up an arrangement where the referral fee was 25, 50, or in the case of a big trade up like that, 75%, that you can stay on that course of only working with the seller. Which is Monday through Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's Monday through Friday. What a deal.
And there's so many ways that, agents can structure that. Just like you mentioned, it could be 50-50 or 60-40 or 75-30.
Right.
And you continue focusing on listings and you'll still get a paycheck.
Right. And then you don't have to work any Saturdays and Sundays, except for maybe 7 minutes to negotiate the contract. But that's easy because the agent for the buyer has to write it up and rewrite it up and show it, and then go to the next property, and then the next property. I mean, all the labor's on the buy side, all the labor. So I think there's one exception of working with a buyer. They know which house they want to buy. They say, Loida, I want to buy that house. And then you say, sure, come in and we'll write it up. Well, can we go look at it one time? I know I want to buy it. Okay, sure. And then but it's that one house, and then refer all the rest. It can be a wonderful life. It can be a wonderful life.
Yeah. And I have another example where sometimes maybe a buyer goes to an open house, but you're their agent. And then you say, hey, I just came to this open house. I want to submit an offer. And that's happened to me a couple of times where I just write an offer. I know how to negotiate, call up the other agent, submit an offer that I know will probably get accepted. We go under contract, and I wasn't even there.
Exactly. And so there is a system, and we have a lot of agents, and I know a lot of them, that the only buyers they would work would be those two examples, where in each case, they know the one house they want to buy, and that's the only one you would work. And then you just list and sell 80, 90, 100 properties a year, which, run the math on that.
A lot of money.
It's a perfect plan. So get involved with Loida. Go to loidavelasquez.com. And what's the name of the other site?
It's Calling with Confidence.
Calling with Confidence.
Yes, because that's what everyone needs. They need to be calling with confidence to set more appointments.
Calling with confidence to set more appointments. Good. Get involved. Have some fun. Well, thank you for this. And you have a fabulous business. And thank you for helping us out and hosting this show as well, because normally it's reversed.
Yeah, it's not. I've had a great time interviewing other agents and other coaches for this show. So I'm glad today we reversed it a little bit and I got to do it with you.
Let's talk about this one last item. We see a lot of people that are not involved with any kind of a coaching company. And, if my observation is you make less money than if you're paying somebody to save you all this time, show you best practices. It's an investment that you can't lose money on, whether you're paying $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month or $400 a month or whatever it is. That money, it's trading nickels for quarters. And regardless of what you're doing or whose coaching program, get involved with anyone. You will not lose money. You will come out way ahead. I mean, way ahead. So, which is why we have this show. Good deal. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time, or she'll see you next time on Coaches and Mentors.
Yes, thank you.